Ready.
I'm going to call the regular meeting to order. It is now 7 o'clock. Requirement of Sunshine Law, the meeting was advertised in the Burlington County Times on January 10, 2022. Electronic notice was given to the NJAC 5:1.5. We will now lead with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now have a moment of silence. Roll call.
Committeewoman Berkeley.
Present.
Committeeman Carr.
Present.
Committeewoman Mungo. Mayor Henley.
Present.
Committeewoman Gregg.
Present.
Approval of minutes, October 18th, 2022, regular meeting minutes, November 1st, 2022, regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Our motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm going to vote no on October, even though our attorney showed me that the ordinance has changed. The motion, the minutes in October need to say what the motion was to add to the motion, and it does not have the verbiage as it should. So I'll vote no for October and yes for November.
Can we do that? Can we break them up? Okay. Can we have a motion for October 18th, 2022, regular meeting minutes?
Our motion for the regular meeting minutes of October 18th, 22.
I second.
Roll call.
October 18th.
Roll call.
Berkeley.
No.
Carr.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes. Do we have a motion for the November 1st, 2022, regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Berkeley.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes. We will now open the meeting to public comment on agenda items only. Please remember to state your name and address for the record.
Caleb Brown, 138 Winstead.
It's picking you up.
Public comment on a few of the agenda items. Monthly reports, the A, Construction Department, and B, I have a couple of comments about the Police Department report. And then a comment on 9A and B, 9B, and then 10B. Kind of taken in order. The first comment I have is on monthly reports. The Construction Department issued the report. I'm just referring to the packet, the agenda packet, the PDF, and I'm just taking a look at, I guess it's the third page. It's the report from 10/1 to 10/31, the October report. My comment is I'm somewhat confused about the calculation of the fees, because as I'm looking at this from left to right, and then the sort of the last column on the right kind of going down, it's calculating the fees. So, for example, you can see what the total fees are in the column $72,826. I'm okay with that one. And then you see like sort of this grouping of the DCA fees, $3,741. I'm okay with that. But then below that terminator line, it says certificate of occupancy fee, $3,100. But if you look on the left, the lower corner in the quadrant on the left, certificate issue, certificate of occupancy says 0. So that was puzzling to me. So there's on this report, there's a fee collected for $3,100 for a certificate of occupancy, but yet there wasn't a certificate issued according to the report. It says 0. So I don't know if that's a typo or or what? When you look in the box, it totals up all the fees, permit fees, the fees or certificate fees, the min fees, the net total fees, penalties, the CCO fees. Yeah, I think what's interesting here is that I get the certificate of occupancy, I get the certificate of continued occupancy, but the certificate of approval, there were 19 of them. But there's really no breakdown as to, like, what the sum total of what those fees were. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because in February we're going to have a budget meeting. We did last year, right? Do you remember? And we had to kind of recommendation as to whether or not you would raise fees, for example. And then you came to us as the voters to approve these fees. I think it'd be helpful for us to be informed as voters, if we're going to look at this issue again, is to figure out, well, we did raise the fees. Was it helpful? Did it increase economic activity? Was it the right fee? Was it the right amount? Do we need to sort of see, well, what is the breakdown? Is one fee, meriting more of an increase than another fee, for example? And I don't know what these 19 certificates of approval were for, and did we collect a fee? Or if we didn't, why not? And that's my comment about that on the construction report. As a layperson, I'm a total nobody. I don't understand anything. You're all the experts up there. If you grasp it and understand it, I'd love for you to explain it to me, but I'll move on. Again, with the construction report on this next page, which is November. If you notice, it's slightly different in language. On the right column, certificate of occupancy is billed at $600, and there was one that was issued. So to me, that matches, right? So it's one certificate of occupancy, and the fee was $600. If that tracks with what you guys think, I don't know. But again, certificate of approval, there were 31 of these. And again, I have no idea what the fee amount was for that. And the certificate of continued occupancy, there were 2, so that breaks down to $150 per fee, if that sounds right to you guys. If you look back on the other report, one certificate of occupancy was $150. So to me, that sounds about right. So again, that's really my question or comment, is about, sort of the tabulation of those fees on that. So, Steve, sorry, I got some questions about the police report. On personnel, on the first page of Steve's report, the personnel, he's got a description here. Washington and Larry are going to graduate on the 15th. I'm hoping that that's still on track. They're going to graduate. Okay, excellent. I think we should be. I think we're proud of them. And I guess my comment is. Maybe you all might want to think about a resolution that you can pass to sort of, acknowledge their achievement in graduating from the academy. I think that'd give them a nice shot in the arm, because they've been away for a long time, and now they're going to be coming back. So, assuming, that's something you can put together and have on the 20th, maybe they could come here. And it'd be great for us to kind of see them and kind of ask them what their takeaways were from graduating from the academy and what they need from us as citizens in the township to support them. They have a hard job to do. And, frankly, I think we should kind of have a little celebration there right afterwards. That's just my comment. A little bottle of wine never helps or hurts. Next thing is under, so Steve, on his second page, under activities, he's got it listed where Township has conducted or completed 13 firearm backgrounds. But Linda's report indicates only 12 for the month. So I don't know, is that a typo, Steve? Okay, so her report says firearm background checks. It doesn't indicate if they were completed or not. It just says there's 12, so 13. Okay, so we'll go with that then. Okay. And then my other comment about the report is, so on the activity report, maybe I'm not seeing it. It's, I had a question about an MIT, and it was not completed because of personnel, staffing issues, et cetera? I guess I'm concerned. Are we missing out because it wasn't done? And
Once a month on Friday, we schedule the road inspection team to come here to tables that come through. But sometimes Fridays we just can't fill it.
okay, so it's not, okay, all right, understood. All right, thanks. That was my question there. And then, Rowbottom went to a training, Introduction to High-Tech Investigations. I'm kind of interested in that. Did he have a write-up on that? What was his takeaways from that? And is that something that needs to be factored into budgetary considerations in terms of what's looking over the horizon in terms of these investigations?
Basically, quickly, with that is there's an high-tech computer festival. The computer crimes evolving throughout the country now. We went to this class to try to settle investigate these crimes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's helpful to know. All right. So thanks on that. And then, my other question about the police report is the mileage report. I'm not sure what page it's on. I think it's, I can't tell. At page 11, maybe, if you just flip the packets. So I counted up 6 vehicles that have over 100,000 miles on them. That seems like a pretty high number of mileage per vehicle. My guess is they're probably reaching their shelf life. I don't know what the shelf life of a police vehicle is, but I don't recall the budget from February, if we were looking at replacing or swapping out some of the fleet for that. So maybe that's something that should be talked about in February? I don't know, when I see a number like this, 6 cars with over 100,000+ miles on them, to me that seems to indicate we're going to be spending a lot more on repair. So it may be more commonsensical to look at replace, but I don't know anything about police cars.
Well, unfortunately, with COVID stuff, sometimes the vehicles are being behind the vehicle. So we still have one in 2020 that you can see yet. And the other vehicles that you see with 100,000 miles are protected first or not driven as much.
Okay, so a little more shelf life left on those. Okay, all right, that was my question. It's good to know about that. The fire report, sorry, Craig. On your report, you've got a paragraph that talks about the metrics. You say in 2022, EMS calls account for 74%. I'm sorry, right above that. You were talking about the emergency services comparing year over year, and it says in the last sentence, this is 35 calls less than October 2021, and an increase of 769 calls year to date 2021? Is that from?
So if we were to compare October 2021 to October 2022, it's 35 calls less, but year to date, it's 769 calls more.
In 2022? The report says 2021. Okay. I didn't know. I'm just, that's why I'm asking. That's good to know, I guess. And then I had a question about, or a comment, I guess. This is about, it is the agenda packet. It's page 24. It's the mileage logs for the vehicles. And I see that apparatus number 27804, that's the ambulance from 2019. Is that the model year?
Yes.
Okay, so did that deploy in 2019?
Sorry?
Did that deploy in 2019?
We got it in 2017. Garrett. I smell gas.
I smell gas as well.
It's like right here.
Maybe we should take a break?
I smell natural gas.
Yeah.
I'm literally being gaslighted.
Continue.
But yes, we wanted, it was the 2019 as well.
Okay.
Can you come over to the township building?
Yeah? Keep, okay.
Should we keep going? Yeah. Yeah.
I don't smell it. You still smell
That is strong.
it?
No, it kind of like passed through.
Okay. If you're comfortable. I don't smell it, so. So I'm going to check it with the meters and all.
Hide under this desk.
Okay.
You guys.
Well, my comment on that one, Craig, is that it's a shame because it's kind of a young vehicle, but it has a lot of mileage on it. And is that because it's probably the latest model, the best equipped, or?
Our other ambulances have 108,000, 78,000, 74,000.
Yeah.
That's 21,000.
Yeah.
So we're also using that ambulance that's still under warranty. So our thought is use it while it's under warranty, so that way if something breaks on it, it doesn't cost us to repair it.
Right, which leads me to my other comment is maybe these other ambulances have hit their shelf life too. Because now when I see one ambulance with 2,292 miles in 1 month, again, I'm a total nobody who doesn't understand anything, but I'm looking at the numbers here, so I think that's something to maybe talk about. And
Just like Steve had the same problem with police cars, is we ordered this ambulance back in July, and it will not be in West Hampton until February 2024.
See, okay, gotcha. Well, see, that's helpful for us to know. And I think that's helpful for us as the citizens to know. You know, that way we have all of the information ahead of us, so we can have rational, reasonable conversations with everyone here. I want to now just quickly, just on the other agenda items, it's, Agenda 9B, Resolution 153-22. And let's see, it's agenda packet, page, if I can find it. '74. It's the resolution awarding the purchase for the fire apparatus. So I'm, just as a citizen, I'm in favor of the resolution. I hope you all vote yes for the resolution. It's definitely something that we've needed for a long time, and congratulations in finding this apparatus and getting it into the pipeline so it can deploy here to the township. So that's my comment on that. I guess my other comment would be, boy, it would have been nice to see a picture of this thing. If you had a 3D model that we could play with, that would be kind of cool. And for Nancy, maybe the kids can name this thing. You know, competition, contest, or if the kids don't want to get involved, maybe we name it after one of our veterans in the township.
Very nice.
That's just me. I'm a nobody. And then the other agenda item was that one of the, it's 10B, 163-22, the resolution approving the tax appeal settlement. I guess I'm trying to figure out, I'm guessing there were some conversations around this, and those conversations, is that a public record, open record, those conversations to discuss the tax appeal, the settlement?
No, they were done in closed session, correct?
Yes.
All right, so we'd have to file a lawsuit to get them?
Bob?
Well, I'm just curious about, I want to know, was there a transcript or are there minutes of the conversation? I want to know what went into factoring, you know, sort of agreeing to the settlement. It's just interesting to me that they're now assessed at $5.3 million, that property. In January, they're going to go down to $3.8 million. That's a reduction of what? What's the math? 1.5 million? And I'm just trying to figure that out. This is a company with a market cap of $500 million. I just want the taxpayers here to be treated fairly. And I understand how decisions are made when regards to litigation. There's fairness, and then there's equity, you know, there's just, economic expediency. Just be done with it. It's cheaper in the long run as opposed to fighting it. But my comment is, what do we got to lose if we fight it? We're losing a lot of tax revenue. They pay $34,000. That's what they were assessed at. That's what they're being billed for. That's going to go down. That means we, the taxpayers, are going to be picking up and subsidizing them, essentially. They require the same services that we're paying for: fire, police protection, other services to that property. That's my comment. I'd like to know what the thinking was. Is it complete? And, I would just hope that maybe there would be some discussion around that, just to help us understand and make sure that our interests are accounted for.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else who wants to discuss agenda items only? With that said, do we have a motion to close, or all in favor to close to the public, say aye.
Aye.
Monthly reports of the construction department, police department, fire/EMS. Resolutions, 161-22, payment of vouchers. This resolution is the payment of bills through 12/6/2022. Do we have a motion?
Carl motion.
Second?
There are requests to pull two bills.
Sure, I don't think that's an issue.
One, they are both from the conference. I'm not going to mention names. One person from the conference was from the 15th to the 17th. One person has bills from the 14th through the 17th or 18th. The other is the 15th through the 17th. Normally, we pay for one night stay. We pay for Wednesday night to Thursday, and since Friday is usually just a pack up and go home, we only need one night, and I don't understand why we're paying for a night on the 17th when the conference is over that morning. One bill is $1,227, the other $583, and I think that it needs to be reviewed, and I don't think that, even though it was in the budget, if only two people went, that doesn't mean they can spend the money from the other three people because it's in the budget. We usually only pay for one night, and I think this needs to be reviewed, especially if it's during days that are not at the convention.
So can we remove that too?
So, Ms. Berkeley, you're making a motion to amend the resolution?
I'm making a motion to pull these until we can have discussion on them or look at them.
The motion on the table needs to be seconded.
Needs to be what?
It needs to be seconded, the motion.
Oh.
I can't hear you.
If there's no, sorry.
Motion needs to be seconded. If there's no committee members that are seconding the motion, then the motion fails.
So everyone agrees to pay for rooms that were not during the conference?
So there's the motion that's on the table. Seeing that motion fails, the motion to amend the resolution to approve payment of vouchers, the motion to amend fails. Therefore, back to the original motion to approve Resolution 161-22, payment of vouchers.
I second.
Somebody had to get a first.
We have one.
Oh, second. Roll call?
Berkeley?
No.
Carr?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-1-0.
Resolution 153-22, resolution authorizing cooperative purchase ladder truck. Do we have a motion?
Carl motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Consent agenda resolution, the resolution note. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with a single motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by the certification of availability of funds. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to remove? Do we have a motion?
Carl motion.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Roll call?
Berkeley,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
OPM mailbox and correspondence, there are none. I'd like to open the meeting for public comment. Please remember to state your name and address for the record.
I'm Michelle Miller, H-Town Report. I'm here on behalf of the men and women of American Legion Post 509 to express our gratitude to the committee members who came out to support our annual Veterans Day breakfast. Specifically, we have a thank you letter for the mayor for assistance with our breakfast, and we realized that there was lots of other places you could have been that morning, and we appreciated you came to spend it with us. I officially thank you personally for taking my spot in the serving line because my leg was hurting. Thank you. I have a thank you letter for committee member Nancy Berkeley for coming out that morning and helping us with preparing things and with all our administrative duties of that day. Thank you, Nancy. And last but not least, I have a thank you letter for Councilman Carr for all his support of his fellow veterans and his comrades as he's a member of our post. And thank you for your donations and for coming out and spending that morning with your fellow veterans. Thank you all. Additionally, I'd like to ask the township to continue to support the veterans, and specifically, if any money becomes available to fix some of the deficiencies that are at our building, namely specifically the porch, because we can't use that as our entrance. It's on our fire code as something that's wrong, so we can no longer go out of that entrance. So I'd like to ask for the community's continued support of our building, and thank you so much for coming out and supporting our program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else with a comment? Hey, how are you?
Good. Christina Getz at 109 West Maple Tree Drive. I just have a couple questions. So, a month or two ago, I attended the land board meeting where they presented the revision to the master plan, and it seemed like it was well taken. I know Odie worked on it. Thank you, Odie. And it seems like they're gonna, change a couple different things, which I think is great for the township and it's great for the citizens. But it seemed like unanimously, everybody that sat on the land board, wants it and agrees with everything. So I wanted to know what the process is, how does it come here and get voted on, and how long does that take? That's one of my questions. And then the second question would be, I know Mansfield, with their warehouse situation, they had about 10 warehouses come up over the past year or two, and a couple got postponed or aren't rented. They ended up putting a pause on accepting new applications in the industrial zone while they said they were assessing and processing their revision of the master plan. So I was wondering if we can do something like that, where we don't accept any new applications on any industrial zone until we finish the revision of the master plan. I don't know if that needs to be an ordinance or something, but I know Mansfield did it and it kind of stopped things, so I don't see why we couldn't also do it. And then, more or less, how long will it take for you guys to review? I know the public already had a chance to see it and speak public comment on it at the land board meeting. So would it be typical for it to be brought to you guys and public comment again before you guys vote on it? I just want to know, more of a timeline of how long it will take. You know, because the longer it takes, the more tax money it is, because you kind of already spent that money on Chris. And what if a new application comes in on another industrial zone or one of the places that you guys are already doing the vision, that's just more money costing the township and all the citizens. So I was just curious about that. And then Nancy's comment that she just gave about, I guess, the money in the conference. I guess you guys get like a certain stipend on how much you can spend or something like that. Does that come from township tax dollars?
Yes.
Is there like a max that you guys get per year? I'm just curious.
Yes, it's been the same for the last 5 years.
Okay, all right. That's it.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, do you want me to address
Yes,
the process?
I'm sorry, ma'am, he's gonna address it. We talked about it before. You don't gotta come back. I just wanted to let you know you're talking to me.
So I'll give a 30,000-foot overview of what the process is. My understanding is the Land Use Board at their last meeting did review and do an oral vote on accepting the master plan. How Land Use Boards generally operate is that they will then, at the subsequent meeting, do a formal written resolution that memorializes the vote. And I believe that's on the agenda for tomorrow night. Once they do adopt the master plan, they refer it to the township committee, so that'll occur probably by the end of the week. Then the committee has the opportunity to review the master plan and to adopt ordinances, amendments to the zoning ordinance based on the recommendations in the master plan.
Would it have to be another, like, 10 days, you know, how there's like that 10-day?
So, yes, and I'll go through that.
So if they vote on it and adopt it tomorrow night, then potentially it could come to here on December 20th?
Yes and no. So the resolution is adopted, or a amendment to the zoning ordinance is done by ordinance, which requires a first reading and then a public hearing at the second reading. Because there was an election this year, the first reading and the second reading cannot occur in separate years. So the earliest that we can introduce an amendment to the zoning ordinance would be in January. We can't introduce an ordinance in December and then have the second reading in January, because it's technically a new committee that starts after reorg of this year. Yes. I'm not saying that it makes sense, but this is what
The law.
This amendment to the master plan could be somewhat controversial, not necessarily to the residents, but to potential developers in town. The fact that it bridges a year is something that they could call into question the validity of the amendments. And the law is that you cannot have one committee vote on introduction of an ordinance and a new committee adopt the ordinance. So we could face a legal challenge if we did try and bridge that year. Ordinance adoption, as I said, would be introduction, public posting to review what the amendments to the zoning ordinance are, and then the adoption, which is a public hearing. You've been here and you've seen public hearings, public comment on ordinances, and then the vote on any amendments to the zoning ordinance.
We're basically looking at the first meeting in January and then probably a meeting or two after the final.
Second.
So, yeah, so realistically looking at earliest effective date would be probably March 1st.
So what about this thing that Mansfield did with accepting applications to any industrial zone?
So I have followed that issue, and when they first adopted that resolution, there have been subsequent amendments to that resolution to put a pause on it to allow for warehouses that were either somewhere in the pipeline or just generally to allow warehouses. So I don't think that resolution has been effective as the kind of first flash of attention that it did receive. It's something that I can look into for the committee once the master plan is referred to the committee. Yeah, if you look, I think about a month ago, they amended it to allow 2 or 3 warehouses in Mansfield.
Is that because they're just worried about
I'm not intimately involved. I don't represent them. I don't have a dog in that fight, but I would anticipate that's why they did amendments to the resolution.
Is that a taking or something?
What was that?
It's like akin to a taking?
I don't know the details of what was threatened, if there was potential litigation threatened, or what the grounds for the threat was.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments?
Gary Brown, 138 Winstead. I'm in Rolling Hills East, and there's an intersection of Rolling Hills and Winstead, and I've got a picture here. This doesn't look right to me. I'll show the folks here.
I want to see.
So just for the record, showing a photograph.
Yep.
Stop sign
It answers the same.
at a 30-degree, well, I don't know, is that a 10-degree angle or 22?
He was way over there. Thank you.
I know. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. But my comment is, look, if I call Public Works, they're not going to listen to me and get it fixed. I want
Take care of
you to, it's not an ask, it's a tell. I want you to get it and get it done as soon as practical.
We'll take care of it.
The issue, though, is that Public Works does drive through this development frequently. It shouldn't take me coming here to have this resolved. I don't understand why. It's just common sense, Public Works 101 to do. Somebody needs to ask, why aren't you doing that as part of what you're routinely doing? We're paying for that service. And it's disappointing that, nobody else in the development called. I guess it's just this one of these, some other guy's going to wait around to do it. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? With no other comments, all in favor of closed public comment?
Aye.
Dates to remember, next scheduled meeting is December 20th at 7 o'clock.
Mayor Headley.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Renita Jones, 20 of Maryland. I'd just like to recognize tomorrow is December 7th, which is the Emperor Harbor World War II. And we can just take a moment of silence to recognize our military. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have to all in favor again?
Yeah, probably should.
To close public meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
Dates to remember, next scheduled meeting is December 20th at 7 p.m. The annual reorg meeting is at January 3rd at 6 p.m. Notice the time change, so it's a little bit earlier. The holiday lights judging beginning December 19th. Also, we have Santa around town on December 20th and 22nd. Administrator's report?
Mayor, I have nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Committee liaison comments?
Senior dinner is going to be next week. On Thursday, we're going to be delivering, and Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, we're going to Thursday. Friday, Saturday, we are going to be picking them up, and people can come to the athletic fields to pick them up. Also, I'd like to congratulate Janelle and Otis for getting reelected. I look forward to working with you. I know Janelle says she has lots of great ideas, and I want to hear them. And Otis is looking for adding our services and coming up with that. So I look forward to your great ideas and moving forward. And talking about new ideas, last year at this time, I suggested that we come up with goals, that each department head has goals, and we have goals, and Wendy has goals, and we bring them together so that we know if we're moving forward where we're going. Last year, I suggested we do that before we do our budget, and was told that we would have to wait till the summer, but it never happened in the summer. So again, I would like to put that on the agenda next time, that we would talk about goals and have our department heads look at goals they want to accomplish, so we know where we're going for next year. Mayor, I want to tell you, you can hear this at the dinner, at the breakfast. One of the gentlemen came up to me and said, "Do you know who's here?" I go, "Who?" I'm thinking the President of the United States. Do you know who came? The mayor is here. So they were so impressed that the mayor would come and serve breakfast to us on Veterans Day. So you made a big impact. You really did. So I wanted to let you know that. He was like excited.
My guys are killing me. Thank you, Nancy. Do we have any other comments?
I'd just like to thank all the residents that came out and voiced their opinions and the good ideas that came with them. And Post 509, the commander, Ms. Jones, Michelle, thank you so much. It was our honor. I know Ms. Berkeley, Mayor Henley, and I were very excited to be there and share that day with you all. So, the employees at the front, Sam, and Ms. Gibson issued the West Hampton Watch. There's some updates in Public Works about the leaf pickup happening in December, or no leaf pickup happened in December, and the fire put out their schedule for Santa. It's on their Facebook, I believe. Right, Chief? Yeah, so that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Anything? Comments, I think that, just a suggestion, but something we can talk about, off record, however you want to do it. I think that when we have things on the agenda, that we should have the representation here. Like, I noticed that the police chief is here, fire chief. You can't, have more things going on than those guys. So, when we have some of these things on the agenda, I'd like to have Ray here, Maria here, to be able to answer some of the questions that are in detail, if possible, if it's an issue. Then, it's something that the committee should talk about. If we're going to talk about taxes, and, the person who handles that should be here. And if we're going to talk about, some of the fees, or some of those fees are on there, and if someone could ask those questions, then we would probably want them to be here. That's just, my sense as one person. Obviously, we can talk about it as a group and see if it makes sense, and maybe, get them here to be able to help our residents. I think they deserve to have their questions answered when they want to have them answered. Veterans, obviously, we had a great time. I do want to say, I will thank John Wisniewski, who helped. He had some food dedicated as well from a local town, and I had pancakes. I thought the pancakes would go over way better than they did, because it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, wait a minute, we have IHOP in here. They need to come off some pancakes, and I was so happy when I showed up, and we probably had about 27 pancakes left. So, oh, that's what I want to hear. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that, the committee could talk about as well, and I think we talked about a little bit there, is I know it's been, well documented, talking about our redevelopment funds that we got from a company. I think that it's fair to talk about some of the redevelopment we could do as a township-owned building. And I think that, I commend Nancy for being there, because I don't think that you really know what it looks like in there unless you go. Like, it really, the concrete has, sunk in the front. There's a lot of work that needs to be done where our veterans stay. So, not that I'm doing anything that nobody else would do, but I did have a conversation with the gentleman just last Saturday who, helped with the basketball courts with the unions, and he feels like that he can get us some help from a few different unions to be able to come out and save the township some money, and then we would just really pay for supplies. We don't have to pay as much as labor, maybe like looking at new roof and then fixing the front where the concrete has sunk. And I'm sure that you guys welcome any residents to come take a look and walk by and see what it is that you guys are utilizing. One of the things that we are blessed with as a committee is that not only is Odis an attorney at this point, but he's also someone who's very aware of, looking at homes, rehabbing them, and looking at the work that needs to be done. So one of the conversations that me and the union guy had was just, even for those guys to walk through, see what it would cost, what it looks like, how we can manage the expense, but get the most, bang for our buck, to put you guys. And he's a member of a post, so maybe somebody else should come along to make sure he doesn't overspend. but that's just, something that we want to take a look at, for you guys if possible. Again, we would talk about it as a unit and kind of make some decisions there. And last but not least, Gary, I think that you bring up a fair point And I can tell you that, I'm pretty confident that Ms. Wendy Gibson is going to have a nice conversation tomorrow with the Public Works about not only getting that taken care of, but being aware of what's going on in town. You guys are what really matter, so we want to make sure that we do the best that we possibly can for you. And I just said last but not least, but I guess last but not least, we want to talk the master plan. So one of the things that I do want to be very aware of and super transparent about is that the last time we had a master plan done is 20 years ago?
It's been a while.
So everyone up here has never been through that experience. So, we're looking forward to going through the experience, but we're also looking forward to making sure that we do the best that we can to be supportive of our whole town and make sure that we know what's going on, ask some questions. In fact, I'm looking forward to asking more questions and finding out exactly, what did we get and making sure that we got the most bang for our buck. So if that makes any sense, I'm just as far as the patience around it, like we all want to make sure we get it done right, but at the same time, this is something that hasn't been done in our town, so it's not even an elected official up here or anybody on the land development who's even ever been through the master plan thing. So that's all that I have. We're going to go into executive session. Resolution number 1206-2022, resolution authorizing the township committee and staff and support staff to meet in private session, authorizing the exclusion of the public from that portion of the meeting dealing with specific issues requiring non-public discussion. And it's for personnel. So do we have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Berkeley? Yes. Carr?
Bless you.
Yes, bless you.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. Just sign and bill this before you. I'm sorry.